Hey, welcome. Today we are going to tackle something that I think we all feel, this sense that the world is just unpredictable. We're going to do it using a really powerful little acronym called VUCA. It's a tool that helps us put a name to the chaos so we can finally start to get a handle on it.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll talk about that feeling of constant change. Then, we'll define what VUCA actually is. After that, we'll dive into its 4 key parts, see how leaders can actually fight back, and then wrap up with the one big idea you should take away from all this.
All right, let's kick things off with a feeling I bet everyone listening knows all too well, this sense that we're living in a world that's just constantly shifting under our feet.
I mean, really, does it ever feel like the second you figure things out, boom, the rules change? Some new technology pops up, a global event completely shifts the market, or the way people behave just flips overnight. It can be a lot.
Well, if you're feeling that way, you are definitely not alone. And here's the good news. There's actually a framework that gives us a language to understand and even navigate this exact kind of environment.
And that framework is called VUCA. Think of it as a tool for naming the chaos, because once you can name it, you can start to manage it.
So, what on earth does VUCA stand for? It's volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. It sounds kind of corporate, I know, but it's a really simple way to describe the huge challenges of making decisions in the world we live in today.
And what's super interesting is where this idea even came from. Get this, it was first used by the US Army right after the Cold War. They needed a way to describe this new world that wasn't just a simple two-sided conflict anymore. It was messy, it was unpredictable. Then, in the early 2000s, business leaders had this light bulb moment, realizing, hey, that sounds exactly like our markets. And today, it's a cornerstone for leaders just about everywhere.
Okay, but to really get a grip on VUCA, we need to know what each of those letters actually means. So let's pull it apart piece by piece.
We're going to look at each one: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and finally, ambiguity. Let's kick things off with the V.
First up, volatility. This one is all about the speed and the sheer scale of change.
So volatility is all about rapid, unexpected changes that don't really follow a predictable pattern. Think about gas prices suddenly shooting through the roof and hitting an entire industry, or how a single global event can make tourism demand for a place just vanish or explode practically overnight. It's fast, and it's often a shock to the system. Next, we've got the U, and that's for uncertainty. This is all about our ability or inability to see what's coming next. Uncertainty is when we just don't have enough information to confidently predict what's going to happen. You might know a change is on the horizon, but you have no idea what it's going to look like. For example, a travel company might have no clue what demand will be like next year, or maybe they're waiting on new government regulations that could change their whole business model. The past just isn't a reliable guide for the future anymore.
And that brings us to C, complexity. This is where we talk about the sheer number of moving parts in any given situation.
Complexity is when there are just tons of interconnected factors, all influencing each other, making it almost impossible to see the whole picture. It's like a giant spider web. Think about trying to manage a global supply chain. One tiny delay in one country can cause a massive ripple effect everywhere else. Or in the hotel world, trying to juggle dozens of booking websites, local laws, and different partners. There are just so many variables.
And that brings us to our final letter, A, for ambiguity. This one is all about a total lack of clarity.
Ambiguity is when there's no precedent for what's happening. You can't draw a clear line from cause to effect. It's often called the fog of war for a reason. Imagine launching a business around a brand new travel trend, or pouring money into a new AI technology when there's no proof it will work. You're making big decisions in the dark, without any clear rules to guide you.
Okay, so we've really laid out the problem, right? Volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. It sounds pretty grim, but the big question is, what in the world do we do about it? Let's switch gears now from diagnosis to action. Let's make this super concrete by looking at the hospitality industry. Just think about it. These leaders are dealing with political problems scaring off tourists, climate change literally altering their destinations, huge staff shortages, and a tidal wave of new technology. I mean, this is VUCA in action every single day. So how do you fight back? Well, there's this brilliant little model called VUCA Prime that completely flips the script. The idea is that you counter volatility with a strong vision.
You fight uncertainty with deep understanding. You cut through complexity with absolute clarity. And you navigate ambiguity with agility. It's about meeting each of these chaotic challenges with a specific, focused strength.
So, as we bring this all home, let's just boil it down to the single most important thing to remember.
If you remember just one thing from our chat today, let it be this. VUCA isn't just some business buzzword. It's a real diagnosis for why things feel so chaotic. And more importantly, it highlights why today, more than ever, we need leaders who are flexible, who are adaptive, and who can lead with a clear vision through the fog.
So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. They say the first step to solving any problem is being able to give it a name. You now have the name for this chaos. The real question is, in your own work, in your own life, how are you going to navigate it?